We're here talking about Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. You're here on D8 for Inspiration, one of the great, awesome, cool variety shows. You'll notice we have captions now. How cool is that? I'm here with some amazing guests. My name is Jamie Van Doren. I'm the founder and CEO of Neverending. I don't know why I regularly end up looking at my microphone instead of at you folks when I do these intros, but I'm going to try to get better at that. But you will notice that I am wearing my awesome Spider-Man shirt because Anansi is a spider god and all stories are Anansi stories, but he's lending them to us today as we talk about these fantastic NPCs that two amazing writers have written and one amazing voice actor has voiced already. And I realize that I'm also now looking at myself on the screen and not at you guys. Wow, Twitch is hard. Did you guys know that? Anyways, Neverending. You guys probably already know about us, but let me tell you about us anyways. We're working to develop an amazing amateur animation platform where you can tell all kinds of stories by creating billions of unique characters. You'll be able to create point and click, drag and drop webcomics, and even eventually animated videos. And we're working on a way for you to take your avatars that you create and use them in streaming. How cool would that be? You could be a tiefling in your stream. How cool. Anyways, enough about me, enough about Neverending. Let's talk to our fabulous guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with Anthony. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good morning, everybody. I think I gained like 2 levels of exhaustion. That was pretty intense. Oh, I got to catch up in the coffee realm there. So good stuff. Hey, everybody. I'm Anthony Joyce-Rivera. I am a D&D designer and writer, and I have joined this project. I'm excited to talk about my NPC, Sylas Fireheart, today. And you can find me on Twitter at @ajoyce_Rivera. And I'm looking forward to chatting with the whole crew here. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Izza. I go by EvilCleverDog online. I'm a cosplayer and designer and also a TTRPG streamer and I guess now writer, as well as podcaster. I do a lot of stuff with Asians Represent, hosting panels and participating on panels with them. And I also make YouTube videos about cosplay and crafting. Some of them are even like D&D related, like making little mimic dice boxes and stuff. So if you want to see more of what I do, you can follow me at EvilCleverDog on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. And I'm here today to talk about my NPC, Zia, who is a half-orc lounge singer. And she's so pretty and I love her so much. And yeah, I'm really excited to get to talk about her and to talk with all these guys as well.
Hello there. My name is Oliver Smith. I'm a voice actor from Northern Ireland, and I've been brought on to voice some of the characters on this project. You'll be able to hear me today discussing Belram Wildboot, who is a baker and a blacksmith and a dwarf, my favorite characters or my favorite race in the whole of TTRPG. And yeah, I'm looking really forward to getting to know you guys and getting to talk about this.
This is so fun. By the way, I am so appreciative of you guys being on stream today, as well as being involved in the project. It's really fantastic and fabulous. So a little bit about Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. So we are working on this really cool, I might be a little biased, kick-ass, I would even say, book of everyday NPCs. So what is an everyday NPC? Well, that is not the Bandit King nor the Duke. You know, it is more the baker, the blacksmith. It is the flower seller, the tavern server. These are the NPCs that if you're a DM and if you've ever played any TTRPG, whether it's D&D, Pathfinder, Masks, whatever, Call of Cthulhu, you always have like your cast of characters and your main characters, and then you'll have somebody in the background doing something, and your players are like, oh, we want to go talk to them. And all of a sudden, you have to come up with a name, you have to know who they are, what it is that they do, why they're even there. And that's like a lot of extra work. So, but those are often some of the funnest folks. So now you'll be able to open up Anansi's Tapestry of Lives. Just pretend this is a book. And you'll be able to read off everything. And even better than that, you will be able to access the monologue of these folks by clicking a little app on your phone. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, wait. I can actually do a phone here. Doop, doop, doop. And it'll pull up that image of that NPC and their voiceover. That's the cool stuff that we're working on. So one of the more important things, however, is that these are all like representative and inclusive NPCs. So we have pulled in writers and voiceover artists from different cultures, ethnicities, gender identities, across the board, because ability and disability, because people are diverse and our world should be diverse. But that can be a lot of work for DMs or GMs if they don't feel like they have experience with certain cultures or certain folks. So if we wanted to provide a tool where you can include diversity at your table without feeling like it's inauthentic, because these are voiced, written, etc. by people with these experiences and identities. So that's pretty cool. What I do want to thank you guys for being involved. I'd love to hear.
I'm excited. Yeah, I think this is great. As a game designer and a DM, you know, I realize like how important it is to have both create diverse worlds for people to enjoy in the sandbox that you have, but also a tool set like a book of NPCs where you can pull off the shelf as a DM and quickly reference and make that world come to life and get your players into adventure hooks or find them allies or foes or rivals to do that. And I think, you know, the truth is we're all limited by our life experiences. So we should rely on some outside tools to help us incorporate ideas and different cultures and values and beliefs to make our world feel like a real world, because otherwise it might be very one-dimensional and you miss out on a lot. So I'm excited that this is out there and looking forward to it.
I love what you just said. Like Anthony just spoke like a big piece of truth, and he just like passed on by, which is we're all limited by our life experiences. And that is so true. And I don't know, for some reason that just struck me. So thank you for sharing that, because it is a good piece of truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the great thing about the breadth of different writers that you've brought onto this project. And like, I'll say for myself, like I've been like working on my own thing like quietly, but I hadn't done any like published TTRPG writing stuff before I got brought on here. And then I saw like some of the other people who were on the project and I was like, oh, and they want me? What? Why? But the fact that you went for like just a diverse range of people, but also range of experience within the space as well, so that people can bring their different ideas to fruition. People who are at different stages of like working on these sorts of things will just have different kinds of ideas naturally, as well as like culturally and gender and disability diversity, means that then the characters that get created just are by their very nature going to end up being diverse. And it takes away that excuse people sometimes give of like, well, I don't know how to write female, Black, Asian, whatever, disabled characters, when you can literally like present them with a book that they can read through and find examples of all those things within there. And maybe that will help them be able to do that for themselves in the future as well.
Yeah, I hope so. And then my hope is also that we're lifting up creatives that people might not have gotten exposed to because they haven't necessarily been on a big publication from a big name company. So there's that, for me, there's that piece as well. Like I'm super excited. Yeah, exactly. People like you who haven't, who have been adjacent in the space in other ways through like your cosplay, your dice work, etc. But now, people will get to see you as a writer and as a great writer too. Like your stuff is like good.
Thank you.
You folks at home are going to see. You're going to see and you're going to hear. So don't just take my word for it. Hang out. And Oliver, it's probably a little different for you because you're a voiceover artist. You didn't get to write one of these folks, but I did kind of pitch you the project a little bit before we booked you.
Yeah, of course. The representation movement in voiceover as well is getting, it's getting going. It's quite big at the minute. So having that diversity in your NPCs as well, and hand picking people who actually identify alongside with the NPC that you've like whenever you came to me with the NPCs that I voiced for you, you hand picked them first. I didn't have to audition for them. You looked at me, looked at my bio, you went, okay, he represents this and this, or they represent that and that. And it's that's what we're working towards a lot of the time in the voiceover community anyway. So representation is very, very important, and I'm glad to be a part of a project that's actually taking it seriously, as seriously as you guys are, which is quite a bit, as it seems.
And I do want to, we always acknowledge our mistakes here. We have a little typo in your pronouns, which they should be he, they.
Yes.
So we'll try to get the overlay updated and
fine.
fixed in the thing. But we had you voice not just Belram, but a non-binary character as well,
yes.
Because when we saw that was in your identity, and that was part of, and that character fell within your vocal range as well. I was like, well, we have to book Oliver for this, and you killed it. Like, by the way, if you guys need voiceover talent, Oliver is so fantastic. All of our VO artists are fantastic, but Oliver is right here on the stream right now, so I'm gonna like hype.
Thank you very much. That was quite a nice thing to receive as well. Starting out in the voice acting community, I felt that I wasn't able to represent that group in myself. It was a lot of personal things, and I'm not going to get into, but it was nice to have somebody at least not, what's the word I'm trying to think of, just confirm really that yes, you can. And from that point on, I've actually been more confident in myself to audition for such roles and things like that there. So thank you to yourself for that. I think that was probably one of the first non-binary characters I've ever had been able to perform for. So thank you,
Oh, I literally just got chills on my arm. Thank you. Like, this is why we're doing this book. I mean, it's so, I don't know, it's so powerful. I didn't see myself in stories growing up. I grew up really poor. I'm mixed race Latino. I had a complicated relationship with that because my stepfather was, I don't know if you can call someone a little bit racist, but but so it's great for us to be able to be seen in our stories. I do want to, in just a minute, we're actually going to pull up our first NPC, which is Sylas. That's right. Sylas is going to be our first one.
Yeah.
Which means that we're going to have hopefully a little, I think, switch to our screen so that we have the share screen. But while that's getting pulled up by our producer, Anthony, can you give us a little bit of an idea about how you came up with the idea of Sylas?
We're waiting for him absolutely. So Sylas is he's an elf. He uses he/him pronouns. Sylas Fireheart is his name, and I made him as a kind of like a traveling priest of love. And I actually created him right around the time the Russian invasion of Ukraine was occurring. And so in my real job, I'm a U.S. Army strategist, and I see war, and my personal belief is like war is the worst thing in the world, right? And peace and love should triumph that. And that's like my personal goal in the military, is to I want to be that person that helps bring us to that point if we're in conflict. So I'm very anti-war in a sense. And I thought this character kind of captures that with all the bad things that are going on in the world, all the hate. We need to embody love, and not only love in the sense of a romantic sense, but a familial sense, a friendship, platonic, love of self, whatever, how you feel about who you are, what you want to be in life, and whether that's hobbies or, career pursuits. And just kind of looking at that lens, there's a lot of stuff in the last few years that have really brought us as a society down. There's a lot more depression because of COVID, isolation, people losing jobs, inflation rates. And I took all that negativity, and I wanted to really make someone who is a worshiper of a goddess of love, this concept, and can share it with people. And then your adventures, when you're out there, maybe maybe they've been defeated, or maybe they're having a rough time, or maybe they're entering a town where there's a brink of war, and Sylas would be there, and he would be talking about these concepts of love and the philosophical approaches, but again, across all the different spectrums that entails. and kind of bring it to the table. So that was my idea there behind him.
Well, let's dive into his fantastic monologue. You don't have to voice.
No, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I gotta get in character. Okay, so he's like long, flowing, beautiful hair, ripped, kind of like athletic, lean type.
I totally get a little bit of a hippie vibe from him.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
They're like a hippie, 70-ish, 1970s vibe, anti-war stuff. So, good tidings to you, my sweet friend. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Sylas Fireheart, a priest and disciple dedicated to the goddess of love, of course, in all its various forms. Love is the spice of life, the fire of desire, the delicious cream at the center of a pastry. Don't you agree? Yes, I see it in your eyes. We are to be friends, perhaps more. What do you say? With Sylas at your side, all things are possible through love. Hatred squelched, violence ceased, and war ended. Nothing can stand before the almighty goddess of love and her glorious power. That is why, my friend, I can help you. I see the longing in your eyes, sense a gaping hole in your heart, yearning to overflow with love, and I promise you, love can make you whole. Now, let us sit and chat. We have much to discuss, don't we? How else are we to become friends? And that's the monologue. So I hope I did okay.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure I went to university with this guy. Like, all the guys who just like sit there in their like really hippy dippy clothes, like with the slack lines up between the trees and stuff in the park. Yeah, I went to uni with this guy.
Oh wow!
There you go.
Fantastic. Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll jump into his. You want me to jump into the bio and stuff, or you want to? What do you?
I'm still recovering for a moment from that monologue.
Yeah, I think so I will say this about in terms of like diversity, right? His sexuality, I left it open in terms of like what is right for your table or your players. So whatever, he can have any sexual orientation that you find appealing. Because I think I find him confusing, and when I speak to him, right, like, oh, I like this guy. Like, why do I feel this way? Yeah, is it the philosophical reasons?
I mean, is it inappropriate to say that I would make out with him?
Well, so I want the DMs and the players to take it where they want to, because it's their table, that's their story and their characters, and I didn't want to put any constraints in that regard on them. So,
no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, love in all its forms,
Yeah.
So let's find out a little bit about Sylas.
Yeah, so from his bio, you can see Sylas Fireheart is a charming and suave traveling priest dedicated to the goddess of love and all its varieties. And I wanted to emphasize all its varieties because there's a lot of different interpretations of what that means. So he enjoys spreading the teachings of love as he travels from town to town and loathes violence and bloodshed. So think of like a traveling, missionary of love, if you will. So townspeople know Sylas from his heroic acts of intervention to place himself at personal risk, to broker peace deals between warring clans, families, or kingdoms to significant effect. So I kind of see this as you're walking into town, maybe it's a town you've never been to, and to get that adventure hook, if there's like an evil duke or something, like you could see Sylas kind of like protesting, and there's like maybe guards surrounding him and threatening to like kill him if he doesn't get out of their way. So he's one of those like protesters we see in our life that will take a stand against governments or people that are trying to pursue evil ends. So after bringing peace and love to many lands, the goddess of love bestowed a boon upon him. And this is really cool. Sylas can use this boon to engulf his entire body in a mesmerizing pink flame upon command. So the pink flame protects Sylas, and it scorches all those who dare attack him while bringing warmth and light to dark places void of love. So I wanted to show like love as a concept and as a power can be overwhelming and defeat, evil or violence and bring an end to that. Love is not something that passively sits by in the pacifist sense, because a lot of us are driven by love to actually take action to end bad things. And I wanted to show that there. Unfortunately, Sylas's recent fame has not gone unnoticed. So there are a few powerful and mysterious figures, plot hook, if you want, who profit from conflict and seek to end his influence. So a military guy like myself, industrial war complex, lobbyists, people with reasons to go to war, this is where that's coming from. While the threat looms over Sylas, he remains determined to spread love wherever he goes and does what he can to bring love to those who need it most. And so that's his bio.
Let's dive into his personality. Let's just push right
Yeah.
through personality.
Yeah,
quirk and
sure. I'll jump right into these.
full
So
quirk.
Sylas is passionate, humorous, and charismatic. I didn't want the humor to he's not serious and always trying to, like, you know, seduce people. I didn't want to go that route. So he is charming. His smile will melt your heart for everyone that meets him. His devotions to the teachings of all types of love make him an expert at forming deep personal bonds and friendships with anyone open to such a relationship. So again, I wanted to not do the stereotypical, you know, lover, like the bard type of over the top trope. He really will form a deep personal bond with you. Can't tolerate hatred, violence, and war. Does everything in his power to bring peace and tranquility to any situation. So that goes into his driving goal, which is ending hatred, violence, and war is Sylas's life goal and sole purpose in life. He devotes himself entirely to the goddess of love. Thus, he helps others find ways to accomplish their goals without resorting to violence. So a good way, if you want to get away from like a combat heavy campaign and maybe just pause players to maybe think about a different solution, you can use Sylas to help just get that thinking going. And then quirk. So he does seek praise and affirmation from others whenever he does anything. And if no one praises him after he does something, he'll pester them by asking, like, what do you think? Did you see that? What you like what you saw? And he'll, like, you know, flex and like grab his hair and swab it. He always wants to be personally affirmed, and he won't stop until he hears that affirmation. So that's him.
I just, by the way, I'm a little distracted by my own captions when I'm not talking. Apparently it said something about, there was like a comment about high school in there, rabbits now. The caption is just picking up, like, I apparently my chaotic thoughts. I have no idea what's going on. But this dude is cool. By the way, we most of these NPCs are not statted, but Sylas will be one that we're actually statting. And what we're working to do with these when we do them, folks, is statting them as a low, middle, high tier. So with low tier being anywhere from, like, you know, if we think about it in D&D, you usually have the 4 tiers. Each of our tiers, kind of the highest end of that tier bleeds into the next tier. But it is Oliver, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about Sylas.
You want to go first, or yeah?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think he's fantastic. I can really see him potentially being the kind of character that could get, like, introduced really early on in a campaign, and at first he's like kind of like just a street preacher character that the low level characters are like, oh, this guy again, oh you're here too, okay. And then, like, gradually throughout the campaign it builds to, like, him being important to the story in some way, with, like, that stuff you weaved in about other forces not wanting him to spread the words of peace and love, kind of thing. So that would, like, reflect on that thing of him wanting to build bonds with other people. Like, I feel like he's an NPC that could recur for the characters and they could grow close to and attach to over time. He's fantastic.
Thank you.
I feel like he's overly good. Do you know what I mean? So he's going to build up that suspicion on him. You're going to have your PCs going, right, is this guy, is he good? Is he good? Is he just leading us on? You know, you could have him like as a guide who's helping the PC, sort of like not railroading, but steering them in the way that you kind of want them to go, and then drop off the campaign and come back, and, you know, with a really poor excuse. It's like, he's been doing evil stuff. I was like, yeah, sure, you were feeding the homeless. Yeah, you know, just always waiting for that plot twist, and then, oh no, he's good. Okay.
I love it.
And you totally gave me too many ideas, because I love to have my characters be kind of suspicious about what's going on, even if there's nothing suspicious going on. Also, I love his quirk that he has to be like, hey, did you see the amazing thing that I did? Did you see how I just rescued that puppy? You know, did you see? Like, I can just, I was like, oh, but it's perfect. It fits. Otherwise, he would be like just too sugary sweet. But I love that. It's just super cool. It's a super cool move.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think next we're gonna end up talking about Zia. So as we pull up Zia, Izza, we'd love to hear kind of what your inspiration was for her.
Sure. So I remember when we had our conversation about me working on this project, I was really excited to do 2 NPCs. And I think I initially said to you, like, one thing I really like doing is trying to subvert stereotypes when it comes to the D&D races that are extremely racially coded, often in negative ways. And as a mixed race person, the 2 races that I'm drawn to in that aspect are half-orcs and Genasi, and my other character is you call them genie bloods, I think, in this. But yeah, and so with an orcish character, I really wanted to try and present an alternative that is like completely removed from what people typically expect orcs and half orcs to be. This stereotype of like the barbaric savage, this like warlike people, who usually the only aspects there are to them are like physical brutality, and you never really get to see them be fully fleshed out as like artists, for example. And that was what landed me on the idea of like a singer who wants to use her music to try and instill like good messages and values in people. Someone who's celebrated for like artistic talent and skill, but also their beauty, glamorousness, which just to me felt like it was very opposite from what people usually portray orcs and half orcs as. So yeah, that was the goal with her. And also I think that was a little bit of my, like, before the pandemic, I worked in theater as a designer. So this was me being like, I wanted one of my characters to be an artist of some kind and have that like theatricality to them. So I sort of drew from the idea of like jazz age singers and stuff like that for her, and like old Hollywood glamour and stuff like that, in terms of like her visual design. But I imagine the music she's singing as being quite like jazzy, soul-y, earthy kind of music. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have 2 different voice actors that we are approaching about this, and one of them is actually also a singer, and I was like, is there a way that we can? I was like, so maybe as a stretch goal, yeah, maybe as a stretch goal we can get some like, some vocal warm-ups or something in there somehow. But yeah, I think she's stunning too. I mean, she's just such a beautiful character.
Yeah, the artist did a fantastic job with drawing her. I love the way she turned out. Like, I very much wanted her to have these like fabulous outfits and be all like made up and dolled up and stuff, and have a lot of like vibrant colors on her clothing and stuff. And he absolutely nailed it.
Fantastic. Well, why don't we dive into the monologue?
Okay.
You can. No pressure.
That's so much pressure. I will try. So here's Zia. Well, it seems I have a captive audience. Hello, adventurers. I noticed you from across the stage. The gear strapped to your backs and belts was certainly hard to miss, and I do love seeing such daring, courageous sorts at my performances. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight and found my songs invigorating. Judging from the uplifted atmosphere in here, I believe I did my job adequately. Either that or the booze has. But there's no need to be shy. Just because I was on stage a few moments ago, it doesn't mean that I'm not here to have a good time just like everyone else. Please, if you have a moment, join me for a drink. I would love to hear some of your tales of your daring deeds and adventurous exploits. Let's see it.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love that she's that classic she's that classic character, mysterious character at the bar. You know? I get she's not a villain, but I get a very Bond feel from her. Like, which I love. And it fits so well into so many campaigns. Like there's always some kind of performer, and this time it's not just your typical bard. It's a fantastic lounge singer.
Thank
know,
you. That was
like
that was one of the aims with it.
If I may, I love the one line you said where it's like, there's no need to be shy. Just because I was on stage a few moments ago doesn't mean I'm not here to have a good time. Like everyone, it's like, I don't know how to take that. I'm like, are you like telling me, like, are you coming off like, look how important I am? And then like you're down there, we just know where your place is. I'm like, oh, it's like a power play going on. I'm like, okay, cool, I get it.
It could be read either way.
Yeah.
Either it's like, look, I'm humble just like everyone else, or it's like, oh, look how important I am.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it being either way.
I like it.
Oh yeah, I dig it. I really like this character a lot. Let's get into her bio and personality and stuff.
Sure. So yeah, her bio. Zia is a glamorous and talented singer, often found performing in mid to upscale venues. She is renowned for her beautiful, earthy voice and captivating performances, as well as her extravagant fashion sense. A quick glance at Zia may give the impression of someone to whom fame and a glamorous life have come easily, but Zia has worked hard to get where she is, honing her craft as a singer and songwriter to work her way up from poor and humble beginnings into someone on the trajectory to stardom, her name on the lips of kings and beggars alike across the lands. Beyond this, she shares almost nothing about her background or previous family life. Many of her songs speak to the common folk and heroes alike. Themes of triumphing over adversity and poverty are relatable and aspirational themes to many of her earliest fans who have continued to follow her career. Her songs also speak to a particular category of people, adventurers. Many wandering bands of warriors have been elated when arriving in a new city and discovering that Zia is performing there for the next few days. In turn, Zia loves speaking with adventurers and hearing their own inspiring stories of overcoming adversity. Sometimes she may even work those stories into new songs if said adventurers are happy for her to do so. So yeah, that's her bio. And I feel like that last bit is like a potential way to like weave her into a campaign, either as a one-off character or like a recurring character of like this singer who you arrive in a new town and, oh, Zia's performing in like the upmarket venue for the next few days. You can go and like, you know, have her like listen to your stories since the last time you met her, and like that might be able to develop over time, which I think could be cool.
Also, a fantastic downtime activity. I always do that with my players and being like, what's going on? Now I can be like, oh, Zia's in town. I'll be like, Zia's in town? Who's Zia? Like, roll a knowledge check. It's only a DC 10 because she's that famous.
Because she's that awesome.
Go ahead.
Should I go on to her personality?
Absolutely.
Or okay. On stage, Zia exudes both grace and passion as she performs, pouring emotion and even heartbreaking vulnerability into her songs, yet carrying herself with the calm confidence of someone who has mastered her talent. After her sets, she can often be found mingling with the audience, displaying seemingly unending warmth towards her fans. Zia's occupation requires constant networking with venue owners, talent bookers, musicians, and all sorts of people. This means she is tuned into plenty of interesting information or rumors that pass through the many taverns, theaters, and bars of any city she visits. If she is not engaging with her fans, then she is keeping an astute eye out for networking opportunities, which she handles with just as much elegance as her performances. So again, finding ways for her to like be relevant to a group of adventurers. Her driving goal, Zia loves entertaining an audience, whether rich or poor. But she also knows that great renown among noble circles comes with greater influence. Greater influence means greater security, greater wealth, and an ability to shape the world around her. Zia has spent her career working her way up the entertainment circuit, aiming to eventually perform on the grandest stages where she can influence the most powerful hearts and minds with the messages of her songs. And then her quirk, in case you couldn't guess, Zia wants to use her music to make the world a better place and is working to do so. That said, she has a weakness for glamorous and unique clothing. More of the money she earns from her performances goes to her ever-expanding wardrobe than she'd like to admit. Thankfully, a magical bag allows her to store her innumerable outfits safely and away from prying eyes.
I love that. I love that piece. By the way, I just realized, like, with her, like, she wants to be on the biggest stage, and that's going to be a way for her to control the world around her. She's kind of Beyonce.
Oh my God.
She's like a power woman. I love it. I love it.
Look, I may have been watching season 4 of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel while I was writing this as well, and that gave me some big inspo here as well.
Oh yes, I love that show. I love that show
so much.
Oliver and Anthony? What do you guys think about Zia?
I think from the complete opposite end of the spectrum from Sylas, this is a character that I think the PCs are going to latch on to, love, and that you could very easily turn into a minor villain. You know, oh yeah, I've got all the information. I can get you into places. All you have to do is just tell me, give me information. Get me places, things like that there, and then suddenly the twist comes and she stabs them in the back. Very easily done.
Oh, Jamie, you're muted.
Oh, or right in the front because she's that cool.
Yeah.
She's just like, you're gonna see this knife coming, but by then it'll be too late. Like,
comes in for the kiss and then.
Yeah.
No, she's supposed to be nice, I swear.
No, evil.
But she is accidentally a bit femme fatale.
I have a adjacent take to Oliver on this character. So I hear like my evil DM wheels turning, and I will start off by saying I agree with Oliver that the characters are going to love this NPC. And what they're going to do is they're going to probably be flattered if Zia wants to like say songs about them, right? And I think about like this fantasy world. There's big, powerful bad guys out there. And if they start hearing these like stories in the song of like, hey, wait, that was my guys that got screwed over.
Yeah.
I can see them going to Zia and then be like, hey, look, we're going to give you this awesome wardrobe. I just want you to write more songs about those people, And so she'll start putting songs, and then they'll start, the bad guys will use her as a tool to like find out what the adventurers are doing so they can trap them. And the whole time she's like, oh, I'm making money, yeah. People love my music. But it's really a big campaign for information, for the enemy.
That could be such a cool twist to use a character like that for.
Yeah.
Whether it's her doing it willingly or unwillingly or knowingly or unknowingly, like it works either way.
Yeah, and if flattery, right? Like, who would say no to like having an awesome song written about them? It's like, oh yeah, write a song about us. It's so cool.
And some bad guy's in a bar one day, and he's like, "Wait a minute, that was my second in command."
That's what happened to my goblins. You guys talking about this made me also think about like, she wants the world to be, Zia wants the world to be a better place, and she has she's building the influences to make that happen. I could see her being a source of conflict for the PCs in a different way. She's helped them build their renown and success, and now it's time for them to pay, but not her. She's like, look, there's this corrupt dude over here, or there's this, it could be something like clearly good, like this orphanage needs to be rebuilt. You guys just slew that dragon. You need to give 100,000 gold pieces to this, or because you don't want me writing the song about you guys not doing that. Like,
dang.
Like she could be
do the full Yaskier on it, yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why she couldn't use her power for good, but in a very like almost ruthless way at some point. Like she's like, now we're not playing anymore. Now, like you got to go take care of that mayor. He's like being unfair to the citizens. Like there's a lot of possibilities with this NPC. I'm digging it. Like they're not meant. It's so funny because none of them are meant to be main characters, but they so could be, and that's the whole point. I mean, the whole point is that your PCs get attracted to somebody in the background who's a background person, and they become a main character anyways. So now we're building out these potential main characters. I love it. You guys are all so freaking talented. Everybody on this is talented.
I feel like so many campaigns, or at least the ones I've played in, I don't know if it's common for everyone, but I feel like it's very common for like there to be so many NPCs that are introduced, but there's always like a handful that you latch onto, and the DM kind of clocks on to like, oh, the players love this character, so I'm going to have them turn up like multiple times. So for example, in one of the campaigns I play in, we have a wandering cloud giant comedian. He's fucking fantastic. And he'll just like show up in towns and stuff. And so I feel like entertainers especially are like characters where you have a reason to do that, where it's like, well, I'm on tour, I'm a comedian, I'm a singer, I'm an artist, I have to go to new cities and sell my work. And so it's really easy to make entertainers a character that can just like travel along and show up at any moment where the party is. And have like a legitimate reason to be there that doesn't necessarily make you suspicious, or does it?
I love it. I love it. I love it. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, this having characters be reoccurring and everything, and I think one of the things that makes that easier to do is if they have a lot of richness in terms of their background, if they have their own goals, if they have their own quirks and things. So yeah, that's fantastic. We're about to get into Belram Wildboot, who is legitimately one of my favorite characters, and not just because I wrote him. But this character, I'm super excited that we found Oliver. Like, we had put out a call to voice actors. Oliver was one of the folks who raised his hand. I listened to his reel and I was like, oh, Belram Wildboot, he's perfect. Because this character actually started with a drawing, like legitimately. I saw we were working on different different concept art pieces for different outfits in our app, because in our app we have a 2D character builder where you can make character portraits and things like that. And so we had this blacksmith, and then I don't know how he ended up being a baker too, but I just started writing him. And I have a lot of experience with found families. My family growing up was not the best for a variety of reasons. I spent nearly a year homeless when I was 13, so I did a lot of couch surfing and stuff. And so, Belram kind of speaks to that experience of found family for me. Like, and he's this very gruff individual who is a big softy on the inside and absolutely doesn't know how he got into the situation that he got into. But Oliver, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about what kind of attracted you to this character and what inspired you to go with kind of your approach to him and whatnot when you voiced him.
I mean, for starters, dwarf. I mean, come on, absolutely has to be, favorite race. But yeah, the sort of whenever we get into the personality and things, whenever I'm reading that out, the almost Long John Silver-esque personality that he has without the villainy and redemption arc, just this gruff, angry dad who, like you said, is a big cuddly teddy bear, who will scold you 1 second and then just hugs and bruised knees and plasters and things like that there the next. Just those characters that can turn on a dime are so fun to play and so fun to portray. I think that's what I mainly like about him. Just this he's just funny as well, and he's just fun, like I said, gruff dad of circumstance who would like you to believe that he's not really, loving and just get away from me, children. I don't just get out of my shop, go clean, but also hopefully they're okay. I really care about them. Wouldn't let anybody see them. I think that's the main reasons why I like this guy so much. So.
Yeah, I love I love everything that you just said. Why don't we get into it? I'd love to have you read out the monologue if you would.
No worries. Hopefully I don't clip too much during this, because
no worries.
I could turn my gain down when it comes to it, sure.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. I know, a dwarf blacksmith. Who'd have thunk it? Har, har. Laugh if you want. But did they tell you? I also make the best fruit pies this side of... Darren! You get away from that horse, boy! You give him one more apple, and you'll have slag duty, mock duty, coop duty for a week! You'll be up to your ears in duty! Children, the whole lot of them more trouble than they're worth. You ever clean up after a horse that ate too many apples? Let me tell you, a mop will do you as good as a shovel. Now, did you come here for the pies? We'll have a few of them out of the oven soon if you'd like to try a piece. Not that they'll last too long with this lot. Act as if I never feed them to do. Or do you have smithing work? Looks like your armor could use a bit of polish at least. Didn't no one tell you that polish isn't just for looks? You want to keep that dirt and finger oils off if you want to last long enough to hand down to your kin. Why don't you take it off, youngling, and we'll have a wee look-see at it. Did that come through okay? Did I blow your ears out or anything?
That was great. The dad energy is so powerful.
When you like make that switch to Theron, every time it gets me every time. Theron, you get it. Yeah, it's so fantastic. Do you folks at home? Do you hear how talented Oliver is? Like, legitimately, like, book this guy. He's so good for all your narration needs. Oh my goodness.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, so yes, is a dad energy. Anthony, what did you think? What did you take away from that moment?
Oh, I loved it. I'm a father of 3 young boys, so I totally get that in the fields. I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to do a stream, and you're banging on the door, like, get out of here, you know. So I loved it. Like, he's just trying to like sell his pies and do his blacksmith and stuff, and he's got his kids, you know, running wild. So I loved it. Great work and awesome voice acting.
Thank you.
And I love the. Oh, sorry, is that?
Oh no, I just said great job, both of you.
Yeah, I like how he comes back around, by the way, and he's like, "Are you here for the pies?" And then he's like, "Wait." He does the total dad thing, which is like, you know, you're not. Why aren't you keeping your shoes clean? Like, you know, he's like, you need to like keep you're not polishing it just to be pretty, like. What, you know, you got to hand this down. Like, there's that also, which is that dwarf sentiment of kin, of like passing things down to your kin and the importance of that it's not just something that you have for you and that you throw it away. So yeah, you do a fantastic job on all of it. Would you be so kind as to just read through his backstory, personality, going forward?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Belram Wildboot's father got his surname from all the wandering he did from the mountains of the homeland, as he sought adventure during the fires of his youth. So it wasn't unexpected when Belram followed in his father's proverbial footsteps. What was unexpected was that he'd settle in a town leagues upon leagues away from his clan. It was unexpected to Belram as well. The bustling town of mostly humans was fine for a visit, but he'd never imagined he'd stay. That is, until he met the street children. It's no secret that children are precious to dwarves. They have fewer of them than the shorter-lived races, and they take longer to wean and raise. The town had survived orc and goblin raids in the past, and some families have been devastated. But still, how could the community have not have taken the wee babes into their homes? An unexpected softness and paternal need welled up in him. Belram purchased the local outdoor smithy. He thought he could earn some coin and maybe feed the urchins while he bullied the populace into finding them homes. After all, the idea of a dwarf raising scurrying bands of grubby human children was somewhat horrifying to him. But as days turned into weeks and summer turned to rain, Belram built an addition, just so they'd have somewhere to lay when it rains, not to keep them. Next thing he knew, he was raising half a dozen rambunctious youngsters, all of whom seemed to do nothing but eat, yell, and break things. His heart had never been more full, and he'd never been happier. Not that he'd admit it. Belram was also unexpectedly discovered a second passion and vocation. He loved to bake. He was quite good at it, actually. and people have been known to come from miles around for his pies. He takes pride in his pies, as much as any masterwork weapon. Do you want me to keep going?
Pause for 1 second. Jeez.
You think it'd be better at cold reading?
Oh shoot, Belram is totally the dad that I would have liked. Like, legitimately. Whew! You just brought it all out, Oliver. Dang. Dang.
I just say I love like there's that juxtaposition of those two lines where it's like all they do is like eat and cause trouble or whatever, and then it's like his heart had never been so full. Like that just encapsulates the whole character, I feel, so well. It's such a good line.
Thank you. Wow. Whew. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. You can carry on.
Belram tries to put on a gruff exterior, but he's exceptionally caring. Having the children around has brought out a fatherly side to him that bleeds over into many of his interactions with humans or other short-lived races. He's still a proud dwarf, as shrewd and stubborn as they come, but his heart has a soft spot, and he often ends up helping when he previously had no intention. He'll also feed you, whether you need it or not, and he's likely to hit you with a reasonable bill for said victuals as well. What? You thought the food was free, did you? Here now, pies don't grow on trees, you know. Shall I keep going, yeah? I'll keep going, sure. While he'd tell you his dream is to find suitable homes for the children, nothing could be further from the truth. What Belram will never likely admit is that these children are his home. And more than anything, he wants to see them grown into happy, healthy young men and women. His quirk. Belram has a tendency to fall asleep when things quiet down, possibly because raising 6, 7, or 8, who can count them, children is quite exhausting. He's also been known to give outrageously wild horseback rides to his younglings, to the charn. That is an odd word. To the chagrin of the town. Like I said, you thought it'd be better at cold reads.
No, it's fantastic. Chagrin is a hard word. Like
it is, yeah. Chagrin?
I like this character a lot. This is very sweet, and
Yeah.
I could tell Jamie that it means it comes from a very personal spot. So this is very special.
What are you talking about? I'm stone. I'm made of stone. Anthony. Yeah, I'm just really thankful for Oliver to bring this this character to life. So just so fantastic, so fantastic. I'd love to hear folks like reactions to Belram, where he might fit within your stories, etc.
I think like one thing I know people talk about a lot with D&D is the idea of it being able to tell those narratives of found family, like among the party. And I feel like this could be a character that could really help like exemplify that for the wider world as well, and add that into like the way the world works, that people take care of one another even if they're not their own blood. And yeah, I just love the idea of it's like, I'm a dwarf blacksmith. Yeah, what a stereotype. I also bake pies. Would you like one? Like, it's so sweet.
Yeah. I think this is a character I would consider having as the like adopted father, the parent of the players themselves. Like that could be it's very versatile in that this could be like the coming of age story. This adventure that we're telling is the coming of age story of his children, leaving, and he'll probably want to make sure their armor is always taken care of, and you'll see little pie deliveries come with like a sparrow or something.
Oh my god, you could have a whole party that is just like a bunch of his kids who are like turning 18 or whatever, and are like, it's time for me to leave home, Dad.
100%. Oh my god, yes. Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think about that you could. There's like 5, 6, 7, 8, who knows how many kids. Like you could easily have an adventuring party out of that. We have is it to your thing about by the way, pies, we're doing a roll table with Belram, which says what pies he has on hand.
Cute.
And there's a chance that like one of them is half eaten already because the kids got to it.
It's like little sticky fingerprints all over it. I was also just thinking, like, if you had a campaign that took place over a really long time, or if you had like, I know sometimes people do like, oh, we had a campaign set in this world and then we did another campaign set like 50 or 100 years later, like, because dwarves live so long, he could be a recurring character and you could see like meet him for the first time, he has like a bunch of little kids, and then maybe skip like 8 years down the line and they're like more grown up, or even do like flash forward 100 years and he just has a bunch of different kids that he's raising and he's starting to go a bit gray. Yeah, there's like so much value you can get from a character like that in like over multiple campaigns or over time skips and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Yeah, or like him building up, if you do time skip, like over time he builds up this massive like complex to like house his kids, but only temporarily. You know, it's like, you're like, this is like a whole town. What are you talking about? No, I just gotta until they get out. You know. But
yeah, it's all of a sudden it's like basically it's a whole little fortress, a whole little clan, and he's like, no, like you said, Anthony, he's like, no, this is just, you know, it's just for now, like, and it's been 50 years. It's been 50 years. There's like an extended family.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a literally like intergenerational family living under his roof. You know, with Grandpappy, Grandpappy Belram.
Oh, and yeah, his kids his offspring can go and have little bakery like outposts at different towns. It'll be like Belram's stand, pie stand.
Oh my god! Yeah, they become a franchise.
Yeah.
Like Belram's bakery and orphanage situated in every city.
Yeah.
It was the plan all along. Franchises were the plan all along. Oh my goodness. Well, this is just a flavor sample of the NPCs that you'll find in the book. So if you guys liked these, then spread the word that this book is coming. And if there are, we have a long list of guest writers. We are going to launch this book with 75. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm not going to count to 75. But we're going to have 75 NPCs. That's a lot of NPCs, folks. That's a lot of voice acting. That's a lot of people for you to scroll through on your phone to pick them, which it will be sortable and all that fun stuff too. And these NPCs are kind of separated into regions. So that we have the city, we have towns and villages so the city where Zia resides. She's more of a kind of a city character, although you might find her in town or village she's traveling through. But Belram is more like in that town and village. We have the farmlands, we have the coastal lands, and we have the wilds. You know, you could easily find Anthony's character Sylas in the wilds or in the city because he's a traveling priest. I think we placed him in the wilds because he's traveling. I'll have to double check that. But we've got a lot of fantastic writers. We plan on, we've been kicking around the idea of doing this as a Kickstarter, which we're leaning towards since, a book is kind of expensive to produce and we're trying to pay all of our writers very fairly. So if we do that, then we plan to have stretch goals to get to an even 100, a baker's 100. Is that a thing? There's a baker's dozen, baker's 100. Yeah, it's a thing now. So that'll be pretty cool. I want to thank our amazing, fantastic, fantabulous guests, Anthony, Izza, and Oliver. Again, thank you guys so much for being on stream with us. Oh wait, hold on. This is a good question. So Oliver, I'm going to kick this over to you before we wrap up. Important question: does Belram forge his own pie tins to make sure they're extra sturdy?
Well, here's the thing. Does he do them in a baker's oven, or does he do them over the forge? So they would have to be. He would have to forge them out of steel if he was doing them over the forge, wouldn't he?
Right? Yes, but then there's possibly the nasty forged flavors of the sulfur
Yeah,
and
you know,
everything.
well,
Hey.
I love the taste of zinc ore in my pies.
Yeah, these ones are filled with, they've got extra iron.
Yeah.
it's good for your bones. You'll be grand.
I love it. Dwarf forged pie tins are the modern item I didn't know I needed. Fantastic. Well, I do want to give you guys an opportunity to remind folks who you are and where they can find you, because you are all amazingly talented, and people need to follow you. And then after that, we're going to raid Sensei Suplex and his D&D game. So yeah, Anthony, let us know who you are, where they can find you, and we'll go on.
Thanks again for having me on. I'm excited to be here and excited for this book to come out with all these great NPCs with a talented team behind it. And again, I'm Anthony Joyce-Rivera. You can find me on Twitter at @ajoyce_Rivera or my website, anthonydreams.com. See you around soon.
Hey, I'm Izza, aka EvilCleverDog. I'm also super excited for this book to come out. And I had such a blast writing my characters for it and doing these streams and stuff. So thank you for having me be part of it. If you want to find more of what I do, I'm a cosplayer and designer, TTRPG streamer, podcaster, and now writer. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at EvilCleverDog. I make videos about cosplay and crafting and fabrication. I recently made a video where I made a mimic dice box. So if you're into D&D stuff, why not go watch that one? I'm also working on some tiefling horns, so like more D&D stuff coming. And I forgot to mention this up front, but I'm also in the new Three Black Halflings D&D miniseries called The City of the Black Rose, which the first episode came out 2 days ago. It's a 4-part miniseries. I play a goblin rune knight fighter called Pims. She's fucking adorable. Please go listen to it. And yeah, I also do a bunch of stuff with Asians Represent. I hosted their episodes on mixed race representation in D&D and a bunch of like episodes on costume and fashion in fantasy media. So go check those out too.
I don't have as much to say about that.
Right? Does anybody know how Izza has time to do anything?
Look, classic millennial. I have like 8 jobs and no time and no money. It's fine. Don't worry, I'm fine.
Checks out.
I'm Oliver Smith. I'm a voice actor from Northern Ireland. You can find me on Twitter at Oliver Smith VAVO. And yeah, you can check out my website at oliversmithvoiceactor.co.uk. See what I've been in. Check out my resume. Check out my demos. Hire me, please. Another millennial with bills to pay. And just to hop onto the D&D train, something cool that I've done is that I'm an extra in the D&D movie coming out in 2023. So
no way!
Were you a dwarf?
I can't tell you anything about it, just that I'm in it.
Okay.
NDAs and all that, but you know.
We're gonna be like with the book starring Oliver Smith from the D&D movie.
Starring movie actor.
Oliver Smith. Yeah, D&D official D&D movie actor. Oliver's, what's it gonna be like?
Screenshot the one frame that I'm in, and then spend the entire movie going, is that him?
I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Follow these folks. These are fantastic people. And yeah, with that, I want everybody at home to please take your D8 for inspiration and have a fantastic day. We're out of here. Bye. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye-bye.
See you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.